And 41 gives you a mechanism by which you should use if you have a disagreement about any decision that the speaker has made. You move a motion and have the matter debated. You need to show us that motion that you had tabled. If you can produce such a motion, then what conclusion would you expect us to come to about your claims? At section 42, it says the speaker to be heard in silence. Whenever the speaker or the chairman rises during a debate, any member then speaking or
big up
offering to speak shall sit down, and the house or committee shall be silent so that the speaker may be heard without interruption. You see, when the Prime Minister got up and addressed the house, only the dead quiet. I saw uno supposed to dead quiet when you're in the house or doing business. Now, this is speaking to a specific circumstance when there's a debate and the speaker wants to be heard, the speaker must rise. All of the speakers would sit and everybody must keep quiet. That is what the standing order said. But does this mean that if the speaker is sitting down and addressing the house, you are entitled to interrupt?
Share. Good night.
Walk up and down like we're in some kind of classroom? I don't think so. I should think that the implication is that the speaker must be heard. So when the speaker starts speaking, you should be quiet and listen to what the speaker has to say. Like everything else, the standing order has to be interpreted. There are sections. And whatever it is that is expressed, there is also an implication.
Foresight, we are going on, my virgin.
There's also a time limit for ministers who are making statements. They have a time limit of 12 minutes. A statement by a minister shall not exceed 12 minutes. And for the spokesperson on the opposition side, responding to the statement of the minister, that spokesperson has 5 minutes duration. Any other member may pose questions on a statement by a minister in accordance with Standing Order 17.2. The Standing Order 11A only permits, whenever it is that the minister is making a statement, only 2 statements can be made.
Welcome, guys. Tap up the screen for me. Share the live. Tell a friend. Bring a friend. Joel Brown. My favorite teacher since me leave school.
A question. If they start to make a statement, the speaker is going to shut them down.
Joel Brown, the best teacher I never had.
Standing order. And the role of the speaker in the house is to ensure that the rules of the standing orders are followed. What we have witnessed in the past, after the statements are made, are members getting up and instead of posing a question, then telling the minister about what are going on in a for them constituency pertaining to the matter. That is not allowed. That's a statement, and it is only a question that the member is allowed to ask. If you don't have no question, him sit down and keep quiet. That's the rule. So is this what you are referring to as voices not being heard? Would this be an example in the past where the opposition voices were sidelined? And the question I'm asking is of Nikisha Virgil. There is no blind for you to get. No ease up.
John.
That's not how it works.
There.
The rules of the parliament are the rules.
Tap up the live for me, please. Share it with a friend.
To cater to everybody's women fancy. She's there to ensure that the business of the nation gets done efficiently and effectively in a timely manner. And that is the sole purpose of the standing orders. At section 40 of the standing orders, rules for members not speaking. The speaker has not recognized you. You're not making a statement. You're not asking a question. And it says, a member present in the house shall maintain silence.
Thanks for the repost.
Another member is
press the follow button if you're not following it.
Except in accordance
renew your heart, if it needs to be renewed.
And shall otherwise conduct himself.
Professor Strength in the building.
In what circumstances can you jump to your feet whenever it is that a member is speaking if you're rising on a point of order?
Thanks for the repost, Bertie.
That day, when we were in the parliament listening to the Prime Minister's speech, Angela Brownberg was not quiet. The speaker allowed her to be chatting and chatting and chatting while the Prime Minister is giving his speech. Right? The standing order says that if you are not speaking and somebody else is shut or no blasted mouth, no chat too much. Nothing wrong with a little barb thrown here and there from time to time. When you're not chatting, you're not on the phone, you're not listening, what do you come to Parliament for? Huh? You are breaching the order of the House.
Press the follow button if you're not following the host.
Members are permitted
give
to
us a share, give us some retweets.
They are taking a vote at the end of a debate.
Bring out, tell a friend, bring a friend.
Whether they support the motion or the bill, they are to say either aye or no. So those are a few occasions when members are allowed to speak in the Parliament.
Son and Father, thanks for the follow. I am the one, thanks for the share.
Reading of the
Miss Wellness, welcome.
Was brought to the Parliament by the Prime Minister. It was introduced as a first reading about a week or so before, and then it came to the Parliament for a second reading. And the members are required to vote.
Question to be asked. Now that we pass NARA, what next?
At 8 and 9 it says, subject to paragraphs 10 and 11 of this order, no member shall be entitled to address the House or a committee of the whole House for more than 30 minutes on any subject. Now remember, the Speaker can give time to anybody more than what is said here. At 9 it says, the mover of an original motion.
Press the follow button if you're not following for me. Please give us some follow.
For his opening speech. When it comes to the debating of a bill, because all of the members can stand up and
don't be afraid to visit
minutes.
The bar.
You know, the speaker is going to be strict on the time. So the presenter of the bill gets 45 minutes, everybody is 30 minutes, and the speaker has a discretion to extend the time. And they usually do, if asked, to extend the time of the first speaker on the opposition benches. It is either the spokesperson or the leader of the opposition.
William, my general.
Standing order.
I am the one. Thank you for the heart me. Really on the daily heart me, please, if you're not doing
like
it.
Everything else, when it comes to the debate, there are rules. And we're going to quickly go through the most important points of the rules of debate. At 32, time and manner of speaking. And it says, a member desiring to speak shall rise in his place, and if called upon, shall address his observations to the speaker or chairman, not to anybody else.
Thanks, Monica, for the heart me. Come on, guys, get the daily heart me. If you don't want to send the heart me, you can just send the lion, the tiger, the bear, you know. Tap up the screen, share it with a friend.
It is the person who first catches
just keep some taps on the screen. HR Guru, welcome to the building.
The person would speak after. Now it says, subject to paragraphs 4, 5, and 6 of this order, a member shall not speak more than once on any question except when the House is in a committee, if they are rising to give an explanation to something that they had said before, or they are rising on a point of order, or when it comes to the person who moved
press
the
motion, follow button,
or the member who piloted
follow the host, share the live, tell a friend, bring a friend.
A reply. In addition to that 45 minutes that they got to open the debate. And I do believe that that reply is the reply to close the debate.
Goffman the Great.
45 minutes to do so. The member may also second a motion or an amendment to the bill. And it says so at 4. So in summary, when debating a bill or a motion in the House, the member can only speak once for a maximum of 30 minutes on that question. The next
I don't know what you're calling a circus, you know, Goffman. I don't know what you're calling a the business of my country is no circus, sir.
He's seconding a motion.
So, Goffman, the business of my country is no circus, sir, and I am offended that you describe the business of my country as a circus. I demand that you retract that statement immediately.
Or an amendment to the bill. The member who is piloting the bill or moving the motion they get 45 minutes
Merchie,
for their opening
merchie.
speech and 45 minutes to close the debate. Once they've completed the closing speech, the debate is over. No more contributions can be made to the debate as far as I understand it.
Yes,
So what I've
retract
just read
as
for
in
you are the standing order.
yes, retract, take it back. This business of my country, sir, is no circus. Yes, sir, I said it again, retract. Maybe the country where you live, because you have a clown around it. But which part me live? The business of my country is no circus.
Rules of debate. Once the debate is over, there is a second reading of the bill. Now, the Prime Minister was the piloter of NARA, and he spoke for 42 minutes to close the debate.
So I think I've captured most of the issues. And again, I want to thank all the members who have participated. Who have contributed. It has enriched the
Thank
bill.
you,
And it
Manica.
is my hope that on this matter, the public record would be that the Parliament, by acclamation, supported the bill rather than history record a divide on this momentous moment. Madam Speaker, I now ask for the second reading of the bill.
You see, as I say, I take the business of my country serious, you know. So I take the business of my country serious.
Question is that the bill be read a second time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. Clerk?
Let me.
A bill entitled An Act to Make Provision for the Management and Implementation of the Post-Disaster Reconstruction and Resilience Efforts consequent on the passage of Hurricane Melissa, and for resilience, generally rather, to establish the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, and for connected matters read a second time.
You see, what me understand with most people, you know, and I believe Gaffman and I see Jamie agreeing with him, is that you see your lack of understanding for a process. You can blame the process if you don't understand how it works, you know. And if you don't understand how it works, you will never know when it is working. Right? I understand how parliaments around the world operate. So I know that by no measure is my parliament anywhere far off. There are parliaments around the world that are far, far more aggressive than mine. There are parliaments around the world where war broke every day. People go broke fight, people fling egg, people fling shoes. Ministers are knock fists. In fact, just last year in the American Senate, some whole heap of grabbing up did go on in there. So my parliament, I have never seen two-member parliament knock fist in my parliament yet. I have never seen anybody in a parliament that go up them one another. I have never seen anybody bring egg to fling off of them one another. I have never seen anybody take off them shoes and fling off of them one another. So if you call mine a circus, when you not call for you one over this off, man. When members are grab up them one another every day, what you not call it? Me tell you now, I take my little country pan Iraq as a very serious.
Thank you. Marshall? The House will now resolve itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill clause by clause.
You see, I hear Cliff Hughes say a thing today, you know, and I have to agree that if the Speaker of the House was a man and the male did reprimand Angela Brownberg for breaking the rules, you would not have any issue with it. Nobody would have, because he's a man. But people have problem with women that are in positions of authority. That is what general people have. the PMP's issue with this current speaker is that it's just a matter of breaking down the institutions that they're not in charge of. That's all the problem is with them. I challenge any comrade, even the government is still there. I challenge any comrade to come here and tell me one single rule of the parliament that Juliet Holness has broken as Speaker of the House. Tell me one single time that she has shown any favorability to the Prime Minister over anybody else. Just one time. Give me one rule of the House where she break. The problem that many of these people have with the Speaker is that she uphold the rules of the House. That's all she do, you know. She urge, follow the rules. When it's your time to speak, you speak. The rules say if somebody give a statement. Arcade, me never, well, hold on, let me roll back and say if Arcade say something, me never answer. Roll back, let me roll back. No, Arcade, me not say nothing what you say up here, say, you know, me I scroll all the way back. Hold on, me I look. Arcade, I don't say anything where, Arcade, this is your first comment, me see. Good night, Arcade. I don't say the first comment that me see for you. But good night. All she do, she uphold the rules. If somebody make a speech, you're allowed to ask questions. You cannot make another speech. That is the rule. And all she do is uphold that. But all of a sudden, me see somebody write one letter where they say, oh, we should consider having a mutual speaker. Then why is all of a sudden when Labour Party in a power, one thinks a speaker must be neutral? All along, you know, what 60 odd years, sorry, not 60 odd, almost 40, almost 100 years of democracy. That is not true motive. That is by no means true. I am shocked that such a statement would come here. I respond when I see it. Sorry, somebody turn the screen on real fast, you know. I may not see it. Right? But as I say, but that's the thing now, Soji. All of a sudden, oh, we must consider mutual speaker. Why? Then how comes in about over 100 years of self-governing? Nobody never made the suggestion for a mutual speaker yet. Never. Every speaker of the House has always been a male. But the problem we have an opposition that all they do is mash down the institutions that serve us. They attack the institution that protects us. The issue that protects us. Majority of the people on the road, majority of these people on social media, all of them on social media, none of them had a problem with the speaker until the PMP tell them they have a problem with the speaker. Simply put, they did not have a problem with the Speaker of the House until they were told by the PMP to have a problem with the Speaker of the House. In fact, the PMP himself never have a problem until Mark Golden tell them they have a problem with the Speaker. When Juliet Holness was elevated to the position, she was applauded. I remember Peter Phillips tell them. Says he visited the parliament just so he can congratulate her. That Peter Phillips said that in parliament. I am only here. And they all stood and they all applaud. Then Mark Golden figure said, hold on, but me no can use this. Because as me tell you now, 2020, our politics in Jamaica change. We got a power-hungry man as the opposition leader. We got a man that is power hungry to be opposition leader. And the club now of the parliament gets somebody that is willing to uphold the rules. Now I ask the question, give me a rule, give me a rule that she has broken as speaker. Everybody, Angela Brownbrook and all of them come out and sell the notion, oh, we are not being heard in the parliament. That is not true. We had a debate where everybody got the chance. If you search social media now, in fact, you have to look for. Go on forget the website name. Go on JS website. Look for the parliament sitting. And you will see in all the debate, everybody get the time that there's entitled to them. Everybody get the time that is allotted to them to speak. So how do you now make this speak? Oh, we are not being heard. And in the words of President Trump, you have some low IQ person. We just hear that and run with it. Oh, we are not, oh, we're not being allowed to speak. Tell me, give me an example of when. Give me an example of when. Give me an example of a rule that she has broken as speaker. That's all I'm asking. Just one. At PMP, you see, when it comes to, you see, the problem is, the problem is that I don't understand how them have so much people still around behind them. It is shocking to me. But it's people that don't understand the system, how it works, what it's supposed to do, how it is supposed to benefit them. If we did have people who understand how the system works, right now there would be a riot in every single member of the PMP constituency will vote against Nara. Every single constituent will vote for them should be up in arm right now, demanding that them leave. Because the person where you vote for represent you voted against what is supposed to save you. Voted against what is supposed to save you. And now, you know what them are come to know? Them are going to try to tell us it's somebody else's fault. The problem, Kevin, is that they don't care about whether Nara is successful or not, They see what they do is they keep pivoting and moving the goalposts. Old man, I don't know why you're speaking, but if you have look evidence for that, come tell it to me, make me your top support them. Old man, again, if you have evidence to support that, come tell me something stop support. Don't just type it in the chat. I have a home platform, if you want to come tell me something, you have some evidence to back it up. Because over here, Regine, we don't work with opinion, we work with facts. So unless you have some facts to back up what you say, if you have the facts, just come. She give Philip Palwell 1 minute. When did she give Philip Palwell 1 minute? I asked, when? NCB loading. When did she give Philip Palwell 1 minute? And for what purpose? Was it 1 minute to ask a question? Because it wouldn't be 1 minute to respond to something in there. If he's asking a question and it's a minute, you don't need more than 1 minute to ask a question. No, sir, NCB and them people, they won't come in the box, because, they won't come in my box. I don't know why people afraid of me, so. But NCB again, when did she? What was the purpose of that 1 minute? Was it 1 minute to ask a question? Because it's not 1 minute to make a speech, I am sure. I want one example. One of an example of the Speaker of the House. Madam, not Madam Speaker, you know, the real Madam Speaker. Good day, Madam Speaker, I see you there. I want an example of Madam Speaker breaking a rule in the Parliament, giving favoritism to the Prime Minister. Just an example. One more. Maybe me miss it, you know. But we have some very attentive people here who know everything after somebody tell them. Just give me an example. That's what I want. Just one example. Because me not support foolishness, you know. So anytime that happens, I go say a foolishness and I go withdraw my support. That's a promise I make every day. But give me an example. Because guess what? We're not gonna reason upon opinion. We reason upon facts. The facts have to align. And right now, Juliet Holness is the Speaker of the House and is acting in that position with grace, poise, and all the other good words that we can't remember right now. But she's doing it. Right? The Nara Bill debate was a very robust debate. Everybody got their chance. Everybody's voice was heard. Miss Angela Brown Burke violated the rules of the Parliament and was named and asked to leave. Named and asked to leave. And I'm sure she will be suspended from the House for her action. If she never try entertain her friend them. If she never try entertain her friend them, she wouldn't go take up the mace. She wouldn't go try show up. She's one of the cool kids. Mr. Damian Crawford come out and defend her, but let's not forget, it was the same Damian Crawford who tell her back in a 2012, I think it was, say, listen to me, no man. Me not to pay you no mind because your influence don't pass St. William Grand Park. That's what Damian Crawford did tell her, you know. Your influence don't pass St. William Grand Park, so you can't talk to nobody. But we'll leave them alone. As we say, great speaker, great prime minister. We have a whole heap. Who go to prison for Green Bay? Old man, again, if you have a story to tell me, old man, you can't go and tell me the story, Virgin. If you have a story to tell me, come tell me the story. No, sir. I'd be saying a fact. Well, were you a victim of Green Bay? Were you the driver of the truck? Were you one of the person that got away? Tell me something about Green Bay what I don't know. Tell me something about Green Bay that I don't know. So I'm asking for a friend. Now, man, I know Marlon. Okay, I will if I work in the strength. We can't leave it for Marlon alone. But I was asking the question. Nara is virtually law by now. We are now looking for work to be expedited. Come the next general election, whenever it is called, I may tell people this as a labor right. We are not going to be campaigning on the PMP the next time. The next time, we're going to be campaigning on our achievement. The position was advertised internationally, Kevin. I am sure they are done. The interview process is going on right now. But they have not announced whoever the CEO is yet. They have not announced yet. Right? So we're looking forward to that announcement anytime soon. Now, man, I'm saying, whenever the next election comes, our campaign will not be campaigning about PMP. Our campaign, son of Punkus, our campaign must be, we are going to be campaigning fully. In fact, come 2030, we're not going to mention PMP none at all. Come 2030, we now mention PMP none at all in our campaign. Last election, them did a cry about ribbon cutting. You think there's a ribbon cutting yet? Wait until the next one. And that is why they never want NARA to pass, you know. Because as according to Mark Golding said when he look for the NARA bill, all him see that it is the government that try to grow the economy. Mark Golding, the opposition leader, Mark Golding, the opposition leader, who every single budget in complaints that him not see no plan to grow the economy. He looked at this one and him say, all me seeing that the government are trying to grow the economy. So all of a sudden, growing the economy is a problem. So if when you look on the bill, Mark Golding, all they say the government are trying to grow the economy, and you and your members voted against the bill, should we then take it say you don't want the economy to grow? Is that a fair question, you know, Mr. Pang? If Mark Golding say, when him look on the bill, all him say the government are trying to grow the economy, and all of you and all your members voted against it. So then should we take it by fear, any fear reasoning, that you are against growing the economy? Phil, it's a serious question, you know. It's a serious question. The man say when him look on the bill, all him see is the government to try to grow the economy. But then you vote against it. All your members vote against it. And I say this, and this goes from all the way back to the beginning of self-government in Jamaica. Everything that is good for the country, you will find the PMP party on the other side of it. From the making of Sandy Gully, when them cuss and say the worst thing them ever see, and then no one be no part of it. But I don't think confuse no cover it, you know. Claude, confuse no cover it. From as far back as we can remember, everything that has to do with making the country better, the PMP is against it. Yes, they were against NIS to share. Them call it sin. Oh, wicked, the government are bringing sin. S-I-N, yes, sin. And let's not forget, one of Michael Manley first act was to increase the NIS withdrawal. But feel done. But here's the thing, feel done. If Mark Golding, and put these two together for me, Phil, tell me if I'm wrong. Mark Golding say when him look on the NARA bill, all him say is the government that try to grow the economy. That's what I'm saying, you know, theme words, you know, Phil, not mine, you know. But then he vote against the bill. So wouldn't that mean that he doesn't want any economic growth? Well, don't worry, man. We soon take care of them. As come to the PMP, anything to do with growth is a bad thing. Because guess what? I tell you this all the way. I don't know if you understand how PMP think, you know. The PMP government believe if the economy grow, people will benefit, people will become more independent, and then their handout policy won't work. People will become more independent, and the handout what them like to preach won't work. We are going to give this. Remember, you know, if we go back to the last election, you know, every sector, everybody who tell Mark Golding something, him offer them $1 billion. Even very own content creators on TikTok, him offer $1 billion too. They're going to give $1 billion here, $1 billion there, $1 billion over there. Everywhere is $1 billion. If we have meaningful, real high, if we go back to the years of 6-7% economic growth, and remember, we have only managed to achieve that under Labour Party government. Yes, user, let me tell you this in case you don't know. And if you want that little proof, just take a trip, go down a UDC downtown. Highway 2000 was a part of the development plan of Edward Philip George Siaga. So no Labour right will never be against Highway 2000. Get on the facts. Get your facts. Highway 2000 was the plan, the 20-year development plan of Edward Philip George Siaga. And if Edward Philip George Siaga was allowed to implement that plan, we would have an highway zigzagging the entire country by now. But if we were to return to the days of 6 or 7% economic growth annually, those were numbers. The last time we hit 7% was in 6% was in, I think it was 86 or 87. 86 or 87. Yes. Then we had Hurricane Gilbert. Then we had an election. And then for 18 years after that, we have Hurricane PMP. For 18 years after that, we had Hurricane PMP. So again, user with the question, everything that is good for this country, the PMP is on record of voting against it. They have never stood with this government and said, listen to me, let us move the country forward. No. The constitutional reform that we need, that is good for Jamaica, the PMP is on record. Well, I would have Pluto Sherrington. Pluto say, where Pluto there? Pluto say, oh, Paul Mo hype say, and now we have hurricane. Now, I would love for you, Paul Mo, to tell me how you get to that conclusion. Tell me how you get to the conclusion. Because again, you know, your opinion, you know, I don't like fight your opinion, you know. But over here, we are few, but me move back, you see it? Facts, not opinion. But if you want to, let me tell you why I can say Hurricane PMP for 18 years. Because Melissa just come one day and wipe out 40% of our GDP. 40% of our GDP, Melissa wipe out. The PMP between 1989 and 2007 also wipe out 40% of our GDP. 40% of our GDP, the PMP wipe out without any help from any natural disaster. They had no natural disaster to contend with. Them had no real overseas interference. No overseas interference. We had COVID, we had the world economic crisis, we had Hurricane Beryl and Hurricane Melissa. Again, everything that is good for Jamaica, the PMP is on record of being against it because that's what they do. Right? So for 18 and a half years, the PMP ran this country. And at the end of it, we had nothing but a massive national debt to show for it. A massive national debt to show for it. a debt that move from between 70 and 60, between 60 and 70 billion dollars in 1989 when they took office. And when they left office in 2007, the national debt had ballooned to $970 billion, just under $1 trillion. And don't get me wrong, people. Having a high national debt is not bad. What was the problem with the PMP's debt is that we had nothing to show for it. We never have a thing to show for it. We have somebody just tell me about Highway 2000. We have half of one highway to show up on it, to show for it half. Because not even the little piece, never go as far as it's supposed to go. Highway 2000 was supposed to build go right in a Maypen, and it done in a one little bush out in a whole harbor. Is that the Bruce Gold in them come and finish it? And say Andrew now can go all the way in Christiana, Manchester, and about to continue the next leg of it. So if then they carry the debt go up there so. And when then done, we had highway, we have water treatment plant, we had new tax office, new infrastructure, new road. Then we couldn't complain, people. But we had the debt and there was nothing to show for it. One of the thing where shocked me the most was when we discovered that we owe Iraq $5 billion that was borrowed to build a water treatment plant. $5 billion that was borrowed to build a water treatment plant. That money was procured, spent, loan matured, and go and pay back. And we don't have a water treatment plant. It's now at this government to build a water treatment plant. Let's not forget that even the money that was supposed to do the 3 mile overhead, the Agley Park Road upgrade, the Kansas Spring Road upgrade, the PMP have that money, remember, all that funds was negotiated from 2010 with Adlisha. Adlisha went and negotiate all them loan there. Portia went, sign, secure the money from 2012 and up until 2016. The work never start. When Andrew took office and realized, hey, this money there a long time, the loan is about to be matured and we don't start the work yet. Him start all of the work one time, and at the same PMP did a complain. Why you have to do all of this one time? Why you couldn't wait? And nobody never asked him, but Bridget, you sit down on the money for 4 years. What did that do with it? No, it was not. No, it was not, Khadija. No. Like I said, if we did come in at 2007 and the national debt did move from 70 billion to 980 billion, but we had brand new infrastructure, we had new highways, all that, then there would be no problem. If we had had a well-funded national security apparatus, a well-funded police force, a well-funded JDF, a well-funded Coast Guard, well-funded customs and border patrol, then we couldn't complain. But when we took over, the police force was short, had only 6,000 members. The JDF had only 8,000 members. Sorry, the JDF had 4,000 members. The police are wear tear up uniform. Police vehicle are broke down on road. You call police station and you could, police are tell you say we not no car. When them do have car, police also tell you say if you want them come, you have to buy gas give them. If we in 2007 did inherit, yes, we have that national debt, but we have a whole heap for show feet, then there would be no problem. The fact is, we had a balloon in debt and nothing to show for it. Not a thing to show for it. Our infrastructure was falling down around us. Somebody promised us that would have been pothole free by 2003. Nothing was further from the truth. Somebody made the promise that we would have been pothole free by 2003. I remember the same people that know I can tell about road bad. As bad as the road them is today, as bad as they are today, them still a lead which part them today under the PNP. Because even though we went through Melissa, we still have the biggest road repair projects going on right now. But the problem with PNP, them blind, so they won't see it. Even when they stand up on the new pretty road, they might tell us no fix the road. Fireside, I told you, I know for a fact. People used to call police and hear say no vehicle not there. When vehicle was do available, them here say them have to buy gas. And if you don't think that alone bad, I tell you, say, better, if you remember Dayton Campbell speech on the campaign trail last year, so when you go visit the old comrade them, the one them who support and work for the party for generations, they don't live nowhere. So it is the style of the PNP. A man did tell me this in my young working life, and he said, if you have a leader when you want nothing, you won't get nothing. But the PNP have it in a skewed way. Them leaders alone want everything and them take everything. When the IMF, by Fireside, we have to keep it, When the IMF came back into Jamaica in 2009, 2008, 2009, under the Bush Gordon regime, then we were going through the world financial crisis. When they came back and they opened the books and they look at it, they tell us, say, listen to me now, me don't know how no survive all of this, because by any estimation, Jamaica should not have been standing. By any estimation, Jamaican should not have been standing. CM Suffield. Them also pointed out to us that 70%, between 70 and 75% of the national debt was held by local institutions. Who own these local institutions that held so much of the national debt? Was it companies like DB&G, JMNB, and all these other companies? Was it companies like those? Is it that's why Marky G can come and tell you no, say, is it that's why Marky G could come and tell you no, say those 18 years was the best time in Jamaica's history because he and his cronies benefit? Peter Bunting spoke it in the debate of last year and it fly over all of the PMP them who did a call with liar don't talk about FinSac. Peter Bunting stood on the debate stage and said, so what? We made our money from FinSac, so what? I need to find that something there, I think it's slide over a whole heap of people head. Peter Bunting stood on the debate stage and said, we made our money from FinSac. I mean, that the quoting him word for word, but bear with me. So what? We make our money from FinSac. We're not going to do about it. That's how brazen these people are. That they are now willing to throw it in our face. And after doing that, guess what? Him still go down, so I want to hold up a comrade, still go vote for him, you know. Put him in a parliament. After saying that to the people of Jamaica, the comrade them still go vote for this man and put him in a parliament. The man says, so what? We make money from FinSac, so what? And people, when we talk about FinSac, you know, listen, me tell people otherwise, I live through it, you know. Me hurt through it, me get hurt by it. And when me listen to the stories of people like Miss Baker, when me pass Meshach Willis, sit down on him batty in a halfway tree every day, still I sell 2 sweetie. How no comrade feel when you no walk past Meshach Willis in a halfway tree every day? How no feel? No, walk past him, you know. How no feel when you know say, boy, I will lead ruin this business, man, yeah? When leader do it, you know. When you don't hear about the companies then, when you don't hear about the National Steel Company, where the man want to put back in the parliament, literally sell to himself. Sell them to himself. When Biden has said, I empty my stomach from now, you know. Because come 2030, we now go campaign for PMP. So we're not going to hear me empty my stomach for them from now. When the man come out and tell us that this man has sell the steel company to himself, he was the president of the Development Bank of Jamaica. And he sold that company to DB&G, which he was a principal in at the time. And then him sell it for almost 2 times when buy it for. And the man stood up on the debate stage. And that is why I'm telling every day, you see journalism in Jamaica. Journalism in Jamaica. War minister, bless up yourself. He stood on that debate stage and he said, him say, so what? We make money from FinSac. While the rest of Jamaica was crying, while Jamaican business people were analyzing themselves, while we have people that pack up them local center and run. Them for come listen, man. Them for come listen. While we had Jamaican business people analyzing themselves, hold on, I think that me tell me all why I love to play these things make people hear, you know. Me love to play Valerie Dixon. Make people hear. I love to play it, make people hear. People need to hear what go on at them time there. And never what go on, Bridget, it was some serious thing happening in Jamaica during that time, you know. Serious matter. But I want Jackson, listen to me. Jackson, me now left off of the FinSac argument, you know. Me now left off of it. That thing cost Jamaica too much. When me play, I'm going to play a part of this, make the people them listen to it. Me now play the whole life.
The government was struggling with managing a market economy, which it knew little.
It's always about the FinSac experience at the end of the day being situated in a historical context. The observer writes about it to this effect that the financial shock, which began in 1991 in Jamaica, ballooned unchecked over the next 5 years until it exploded with a catastrophic bang in 1996. The explosion.
And I want to know understand, 1991. Remember them have one bright economist come write one paper what tell us they start finding at the 80s. Nothing no go so. Not a thing no go so. It was a deliberate plan.
Left shrapnel scattered over the financial landscape, which still impacted on the economy so many years later. Sister Valerie Dixon is a survivor of that shock that the observer talk about, a survivor of the government's response to the financial crisis of the 1990s, and she's, as we have said, written her book, Too Black to Succeed, the FinSAC Experience, on the phone lines, lady president of the UNIA Kingston chapter, educator, author, entrepreneur, and grandmother. My sister Valerie Dixon, she...
So, what I want to bring out this morning is that a lot of people do not understand where this thing came from. And I want to just read a little from an appendix that was written in the Observer some time ago. It says, when Omar Davis, then PNP finance minister in the 1990s, began the process of dismantling the Central National Bank, it was done immediately after the Don Crawford-run entity had bought a significant sum of US dollars at a few dollars more than the price that the official exchange rate indicated. The bank did nothing which other banks were not doing in a time when an inept PNP government was struggling with managing a market economy which it knew little or nothing about. What the sale of those dollars did was reveal that the very same finance ministry was...
Guys, keep the taps on the screen for me, please. Share the light, tell a friend, big a friend. And any gift you have in your pocket where you want to send it come.
Covertly, that means underground, dispatching agents with huge stacks of cash in the trunks of their cars to buy US dollars at prices above the official exchange rate. The money was stolen eventually. With blood rushing to its head when this action was revealed, an embarrassed PNP government set about withdrawing public funds from the...
And that's something that was mentioned about the money being stolen. I think I told you guys about that. It was known as the US dollar scandal, where people were literally backing up cars in the parking lot down at Bank of Jamaica, and them are load it up with taxpayers' money if you drive go down a coast go by US dollar. People were literally backing up cars down at the Bank of Jamaica, and them are throw taxpayers' money in the back of car if you go down a country go buy US dollar. It was so blatant that eventually they set up their friend for rob one of them. $2.5 million of taxpayers' money. And think about it, $2.5 million in a 1992. Think about how much money that.
Central National Bank, making it publicly known. And in the process, it started or triggered a run on the bank, which was seemingly designed to end its life. That, however, is a sad history for the most progressive bank existing in Jamaica at that time. So,
when she described Central National at the time of being the most progressive bank in Jamaica, it's not a joke description that, Central National at the time was a bank that was designed to actually help the Jamaican people. It's the only bank where a farmer could have walked in and say, me want to loan to buy some seeds and get it, It's the only bank you could have walked in with your ideas and you get a loan to fund your ideas. That was what I mean by the most productive bank. And things like that is what the PNP hate.
if you withdraw money from the most progressive bank at the time, what do you think is bound to happen? It is going to trigger what is known as a domino effect. There's going to be a run or a rush on the bank for people trying to get out their monies. And we do not understand, most of us, what the effect or the repercussions or the consequences of such a run on a bank would actually do. Because if you affect one thing over here, it is going to affect other things over there.
All right, so that takes us, Val, to your own personal experience, which you wrote about in the book with FinSAC. Let us go there. You and your husband, you were in the...
This lady personal experience make tears come on me every time I hear it. You know, new to me, people come and know it. But every time I listen to it, it make tears come on me eye.
Construction industry. Talk to us about that.
Yes. And I think the whole world understands that when you're in the construction industry, unfortunately, you have to be the one who is, well, it wouldn't be wise for you to capitalize that job you have out of your own pocket. So you are dependent on the banking system to finance you upfront, because in construction, you have to put down the building, and as you go along, you can then certify that the work is done so you can get paid from the client. But in the meantime, you have your expenses such as salaries and wages, you have your utility bills, you have your suppliers, you have everybody to pay until you get paid. So when your bank collapses, which was Workers' Bank, and you are now faced with not being able to get funding, what do you think is going to happen? Your creditors are going to be down on you. In other words, everything now comes crashing down on you, and your only fault or crime was to go and borrow money that you must use, because nobody's going to really, as I said, finance people's houses, buildings, shopping malls, whatever, out of their own pocket, unless you're one of those types. But anyway, let me just quickly go on. So you are faced with Hobson's choice, which is no choice at all. You have to give collateral in order to secure these loans. And by collateral, we mean you have got to mortgage something or give up something for the bank to say, you want $1 million? Bring 40,000 acres worth of property come. So the bank holds on to that. Sooner or later, with your being signed or held at...
And then you have dirty-minded comrade who come by every day and tell you people do not get unsecured loan. Dirty-minded comrade come every day and tell you people get unsecured loan. You know? So if it was unsecured loan, how do people them lose their property?
Almost gunpoint. You are not able to get financing. You are not able to get payments from your clients. So you have to now go and seek every possible means. And one of them is to put your house up for mortgage. Or better yet, as collateral again. I will just read quickly here what another one of the appendix said. It said, the tragic irony is that many of those producers and manufacturers in Jamaica, trusting that their government was looking after their interest, had borrowed, sometimes pledging their homes to invest in state-of-the-art equipment to improve their efficiency, only to be crushed by the high cost of servicing the debt, that is high interest rates, which are generally harmful. Many sought out new export markets to increase their sales, but lost them as their competitiveness vanished through government's exchange rate policies. Many strengthened their marketing only to be overwhelmed by the advantages given to imported competition by the government's unwise, liberalized trade policies. And I'll stop there for a moment. Every time it is the foreigners who get the edge or the advantage over local producers and local manufacturers who are the homegrown variety. in the FinSac debacle, we were in business for over 20 years. Another company was in business for over 50 years. Another company founded by our national hero, George Gordon, was over 100 years old. And again, we ask the question. The government contented itself to believe that companies which had been conducting business successfully for decades were suddenly struck en masse with ineptitude, stupidity, and amnesia as to how to properly run a business.
Explain to us, Val, what did the government do exactly? Because we only talk about the FinSac debacle. What exactly are we talking about?
Okay. You went to your bed last night and interest rate, let's say for argument's sake, is at 30%. You wake up this morning and you see a headline in the newspaper that says, government to increase interest rate to 64%. Please tell me which business would be able to fill that gap between paying interest rate at 30% and suddenly jump with no notice to paying interest rate at 60 and probably more. Overdraft interest rate went up overnight to 120%.
And the impact of that action on businesses was what you are describing.
That is exactly what I'm describing. So how is it that these people who are running business for over all these decades suddenly overnight become bad debtors?
Khadija, this is actual reality. This is lived experience.
This is the point I'm making there.
Yes, as a matter of fact,
we were villainized.
Yes.
We were hounded down like common criminals. And we had to watch our businesses go up in smoke. While foreign investors came in, they got tax breaks, they got tax holidays, and we were what? Flung aside and discarded as rubbish.
Hi, Rodian.
Called bad debtors.
As a matter of fact, for those who have a copy of the book, you'll see that the Appendix F, Anatomy of the FinSac Debtor, which was published in the Sunday Gleaner 2011, July 10 by Claude Clark, guest columnist, starts out by saying, and I don't know if you have that, you can read that first, Val, where he says part of the fallout from the FinSac folly has been the summary dismissal of the thousands of productive Jamaican business persons as bad debtors. And this is what you're saying.
Yes, that after more than a century of successful Jamaican businesses, the 1990s ushered in a period in which the positive relationship between productive entrepreneurs and their financial partners or banks came to a crashing halt. Thousands of healthy Jamaican businesses, some of which had grown to become regional and world beaters, were disdainfully discarded by our national economic stewards as bad debtors.
Wow. And by discarded, because you now can help us to understand what Claude Clark meant now, because I'm sure when it's a long letter and he would have gone through that, but help us to understand what happened to you in terms of how you were discarded, how your family business was discarded, and the impact of that on your family.
As you said already, I am a teacher. And I remembered my husband coming in one evening looking very dejected and saying, I have to take your money this month. And I said, which money? You pay, man, you pay. So I said, really? Long story short, he said to me, which do you prefer, material wealth or your life? So of course I just got my eye and said, it has to be my life, of course. I mean, what kind of question that? He said, good. So I said, what does good mean? He's going to take the title of our house and go and see if he can seek some money, because the job that he's doing for the government is not paying as the contract said it should. In other words, if the government owed him $10, they would pay him 10 cents or sometimes 5 cents, just for argument's sake. Now, you cannot say the government forfeited on the contract because they paid something. What he should have done at that stage was to end the job right then and there. But this is Jamaica. And the man has spent decades building his business. And now to be blacklisted by a bad-minded set of people who don't want to see you prosper and do well, he would never get work again in this country. Because they would say and tell the public that he breached the contract by ending the job before time, and that is why they can't trust him again with any more contracts. Blacklisted, done with you. How would the man continue? I mean, this is his life you're talking about.
Yeah.
So people who beat them chest and say, who, me? Jump, see me title, carry it, go wherever? No, sir. They fail to understand what it means to be in a contract. Yet when the government did breach our contract, it was hell and powder house to prove to people that we were not inept, that we were not stupid, that we were not forgetful, that we were literally destroyed overnight because of the high interest rates that we could not meet, no matter how many titles did in a shed pan underneath the bed.
And to put this in a wider context, we're speaking and you've written about your own particular experience, but one of the things that you keep going back to in the book is that your experience was not unique to you. You're talking about 44,000 Jamaican businesses.
44,000 Jamaicans, they have a book to write as well.
Comrades say a lie, me tell. When me tell them say 44,000 business went down. Comrades say a lie, me I tell. Comrade call me liar all the while, you know.
Because when you see who got our assets, and I want to bring this point out quickly, we as the so-called bad debtors offer the government of the day to buy back our assets at 25 cents in the dollar. This is US. And we were refused, we were rejected. And yet they brought in a white Texan man to set up what I call a usury company and sold him our assets at 5 cents in the dollar.
You see, I don't want that part to go over on her head, you know. Me say it all the while, you know, but want you to understand. She said a group of them, the FinSAC debtors, came together and said, listen to me, government, please. We want a chance to recover. Sell us back these debts at 25 cents per dollar. We are going to pay and we start afresh. That offer was refused. The locals was refused, but yet the same assets, the same debts were sold to a Texas businessman for 5 cents. 5 cents on the dollar.
And then you wonder, you know, but you understand, not even wonder, now you understand why you have a 40-year to a public 60 years moratorium on the FinSAC report. But why is there no call, no serious, every time I hear a call for the report to be released, it's coming literally from your lips. Why is Jamaica silent then on the FinSAC Commission report?
Because most of us as Black Jamaicans, we have lost it. We have lost our cojones. Well, look that up, that is Spanish. Our spine gets soft like cooked macaroni. There is one lady, and I have to give credit where credit is due, Yola Baker. She has been the first lone voice in the wilderness crying out for justice. And I don't know if it's because she's a woman, why she he was treated with such ridicule at times. And this woman, man, she don't know what she's talking about. And yet when you hear who is living in our house, you eye them open big like saucer.
And you're talking about these houses now that were sold
by this Texan who came and bought our assets for a mere song and a dance and then resold it for profit. And most of the people who bought our assets were well connected in politics. If I tell you who got my house, but I can't do that because you know how this is Jamaica.
Yes.
So we have to just clear our throats around certain things. But this is a travesty of justice that should never go unpunished.
And
when you look and see what people bought our assets for, that we worked so hard and honestly for.
And this is why I'm saying to Jamaicans, please read Valerie's book, because she takes us on this journey. And one of the things that made me cry, Valerie, when you first told this story, my sister, you were in the studio, and I read it because you wrote about it in the book. And I know we have just a few minutes to go, but that is a story that tugged on my heart as a daughter, as a sister, when I read it, about how you found out that you'd lost your house and what you saw in a vehicle in terms of your clothes and what you felt and how dejected you felt, and that whole, just the way you told that story and how it's written in the book, I saw the tears literally dropped onto the page as I was reading, because I felt your pain through those pages. Explain that moment to us.
It was really our very, very helpful and faithful helper.
Her book, you can get it on Amazon, man of God. It's on Amazon. You can get a copy of it on Amazon. It's called Too Black to Succeed. The Finsack story. Valerie Dixon.
Came in one Monday morning. I titled that No Ordinary Monday Morning. And she said to me, Christy, just what number so-and-so subdivision we live at, ma'am? So I said, I gave her the number. She said, Lord have mercy, look here, ma'am. And she gave me the classified section of the newspaper. And she circled public auction, house at lot so-and-so subdivision name.
So the lady basically find out in the newspaper, say our house is up for sale. In the newspaper, she find out that.
And believe you me, my knee went weak. I feel nothing but pure crawly. I run through my knee then. I had to grab a seat. So I said, no, sir. My husband, I forgot to explain this. What is my house doing on a public auction block? Long story short, we say, all right. Well, I forgot using like education now where we get. That my mother insisted that I should have, and like a common sense. And we got, I don't know if this legal or not legal, but at this stage now, I'm not here. We got a real estate person to come and look at the house, and he said he know the perfect man who will buy this house from us so that we can avoid having to have it on the auction block. See ya? Long story short, when we reached the lawyer now to sign the sale agreement, if you think we could have crawly in a knee back when we hear the news, and now we're going to know who the real owner is going to be. Well, I think something slapped me back to reality, and I said, well, God, whatever this is, I surrender. Because I can't do nothing about this. So the lawyer gave us about 3 months in which to pack up our cockroaches and come out of the people in place. This is after raising our family here for at least 2 decades. It was now no longer ours.
And you're talking about an upscale community in...
Yes, shame to say,
right.
It is a mixed community, but A lot of upscale houses were there. It was really designed for the bauxite managers, the expatriates, the white people to live in this little enclave. But things happened in the 70s and they began to sell lots to come in professionals, and we were among professionals. We called us, we went to university, we went to college. So we did all the right things that your mother would have been proud of. And my mother was very proud because your education is now paying dividends. Look here, 2 days after we went to the lawyer, the real estate, I get choked up, but I'll go on. The real estate man come back and say, the lady says she want the house now. So anytime I'm nervous, I laugh. I say, oh, you mean no? Didn't we get X time to pack up a carotas and we set a few little plants and things? Him say, no, the so-and-so man said that him have to get the key, otherwise I'm not going to get any commission. So you have to move to that. Well, we did have like a business to do, so me just looked on him and husband and said, well, I don't see why I can possibly move over 20 years in one day. So
More to imagine the reality of this when I got you, wake up one morning and somebody come and tell you, say, you have to come out of this house. And no, you know, no more time, leave. And I feel house, your house, so you work hard and build and raise a family, you know.
I'm gonna work it out. Hear what the man tell me, say, this so-and-so man knows of 2 houses to rent, and I must go and choose one of them. Well, you don't argue with certain kind of people in this country. So I went and I said one of them was in the same community, so I would look at that one because the other one wasn't suitable. See, Mom? When I reach what I think is the address, is a truck that I see in front of the gate, and there is my gardener giving instructions as to how he must come through the 2 columns then without lick down the people in gate column. When I look in at the truck, that's how the things they look like my things. So when we see curtain, I mean drapery, wrap up with plate, wrap up with shoes, some sofa just patched precariously on the side of the truck, and but what is happening here? So I turned to the guy and said, what's going on? Him don't look at me alone. He said, the man said, we have to move, Mom. I said, but I don't even look inside of this house. I pass there every day. This house lock up how much years now? So how you mean you're putting the things in that condition? He said, the man said, then don't get the key. Well, they're sure I am by now. Go back up the driveway to go jump in my car. Go back around the house because of this man. When is this man now come park right in front of me? See ya? I march up to him now, fire, snap, you name it. When I look on the back seat,
Guys, stop up the screen for me, please.
car, not even car, car. I'm going to close that back up from the seat right up to the ceiling.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I believe you me, it was like Dunn's River Falls busted on my head. The eye water just gushed. Here the man look for me and say, you can stand about your holler. Me have to get my commission today, and then say today 3 times. The man just pans up the clothes, man handle the clothes off and see, encircle the clothes and brush past the gun down the driveway, enter inside of this house that I don't look into yet. I don't know when time to put them down and come back out and take another load, and it went until the car unpacked with my clothes and then drive off.
Wow.
Oh God.
Yeah. You know, and that's it.
You see, people, it's when me say, when me telling you, say, me can't love PMP as a party. This is what they make happen to we country, and then them come and tell me how it was the greatest time. This is what they make happen to we country, 44. That is not the only story. That let me say, let me find Meshach. Let me find Meshach. Meshach story there. Meshach Willis.
Very, very hard to cope with life like this. After
Craig.
working hard for several years to build his dream house, he was thrown out in an instant, losing belongings he and his family.
Are you shocked to hear that a financial crisis nearly collapsed?
Very, very hard to cope with life like this.
After working hard for several years to build his dream house, he was thrown out in an instant, losing belongings he and his family had spent years accumulating. The Finsacked entrepreneur claims his house, which was valued at between $9 and $11 million, was offloaded by Finsack for just $3.5 million.
Yeah, at the time when the house sold, they said that who 11.8 million. And they said they sold it for 3.5, and I still have a balance of 7 point something. Up to now, I don't know if I still owe that money or what happened. I don't know if I have a money in my hand now, if they will come to me for that money, because they say I owe it, and I don't know if it's still growing interest. Because every time we ask for an account, nobody won't give it to us.
Mr. Willis says he ended up being Finsacked because he took a revolving loan from the now defunct Eagle Commercial Bank. However, with the interest rates skyrocketing, he, like many others, found it difficult to keep a pace with the financial demands. Dealing with the emotional toll of Finsack hasn't been easy for many who were forced to start life all over again.
Very, very hard to cope with life like this.
After working hard for several years to build his dream house, he was thrown out in an instant, losing belongings he and his family had spent years accumulating. The Finsacked entrepreneur claims his house, which was valued at between $9 and $11 million, was offloaded by Finsack for just $3.5 million.
Yeah, at the time when the house sold, they said that who 11.8 million. And they said they sold it for 3.5, and I still have a balance of 7 point something. Up to now, I don't know if I still owe that money or what happened. I don't know if I have a money in my hand now, if they will come.
So you see, when I asked earlier, when you not pass this man, because this man, this man sit down and offer to yourself too sweet, that him do for survive. When they come red, when you no walk past him, how you feel?
Come to me for that money, because they say I owe it, and I don't know if it's still growing interest. Because every time we ask for an account, nobody won't give it to us.
Mr. Willis says he ended up being Finsacked because he took a revolving loan from the now defunct Eagle Commercial Bank. However, with the interest rates skyrocketing, he, like many others, found it difficult to keep a pace with the financial demands. Dealing with the emotional toll of Finsack hasn't been easy for many who were forced to start life all over again.
Very, very hard to cope with life like this.
After working hard for...
And they said they sold it for 3.5, and I still have a balance. I don't know if I still owe that money or what. They won't give it to us.
Mr. Willis says he ended up being Finsacked because he took a revolving loan.
Are you shocked to hear that a
Very, very hard to cope with life like this.
Well, I'm trying to find the extended version of this one. Right. But thank you, people. Let me tell you, these are the things I'm telling you why. Me don't know how people run behind PMP,
remain on their campaign trails, and while the rallies continue, so do.
This is Mark Golden speaking about his role in Finsack.
Been one of the most destructive forces in the history of Jamaica's economy. It led to the financial sector collapse, where over 40 financial institutions went. Entrepreneurs that previously had been heralded by him. Some of them are exiles abroad now. Many entrepreneurs lost their businesses. Many companies that were over 100 years old in Jamaica were destroyed and sold to foreigners. That is the legacy. And even one of his colleagues who sits in this room today described it as the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich since the abolition of slavery.
The financial shock, which began in 1991 in Jamaica, ballooned unchecked over the next 5 years until it exploded with a catastrophic.
The price that they
input. I was one of the representatives of the.
eventually.
I want to find out Mark Golden part.
public funds from the Central National Bank, making it publicly known. And in the process, it started or triggered this bank.
Lawyers in Jamaica and very involved in financial engineering. And so when he was Minister of Finance, a lot of the things that required industry input, I was one of the representatives of the industry that he would deal with. I got to know him through that. And that's how I got into the PNP, really, through my relation with him.
Whilst most people know Ma because of his being a top lawyer and a key man in the financial sector, comrades.
Well, tell me who in Jamaica know Mark Golding as a top lawyer? One somebody, anybody, who did hear of Mark Golding as a top lawyer? Mark Golding claim to fame was out of Daring, Bunting and Golding. Never a top lawyer. Okay, that was his claim to fame. People know him through DB and G. Right? And then now you come and talk about you not come because you're right. You not come, you're ripped for you one already. You're ripped for you one already, you know. This is the man who go around now and tell people, oh, you know the 90s was such a successful time for this country.
Now, while there won't be a general election in Jamaica in 2015, the island's major political parties remain on their campaign trails. And while the rallies continue, so do the accusations. Last week was a high point in the finger-pointing. The People's National Party made some damning allegations against the former Jamaica Labour Party administration. Speaking in Port Moore, St. Catherine last Sunday, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips accused that based on the damage to Jamaica's reputation by the former Jamaica Labour Party administration, multinational lending agencies did not want to lend the island money. He also said that at the time he took office, the country was surviving on 12 weeks of net international reserves. And as expected, the JLP fired back with accusations of its own. Opposition spokesperson on finance, Audley Shaw, who was the finance minister in the former government, says Dr. Phillips' accusations are all lies. Mr. Shaw, who was speaking at a JLP rally in St. Elizabeth last Thursday, says he raised over $400 million on the capital markets in the same time that Dr. Phillips was saying Jamaica was being declined loans.
1 month before we departed office, the leader and Prime Minister of Jamaica signed agreement with me at Jamaica House, borrowing over $200 million from the Inter-American Development Bank. And we also got money to borrow from the World Bank. So he said, multinational agencies were not lending us money. Lie. Lie. And boy, when I tell you lie, you see them, yeah, dry, you see. It's what you call a dry, yeah, lie.
He also accused Dr. Phillips of twisting the truth about the condition of the net international reserves when he took office. Dr. Phillips said the country was surviving on 12 weeks of imports, which Mr. Shaw says is a stretch of the facts.
When I left, the net international reserves, we had $2.8 billion in gross reserves, and we had $2 billion United States dollars in net international reserves. That was not 12 weeks of imports. That was 20 weeks of imports. But what happened is that when they came into power, them dilly-dally, them go around the place, fool up themselves and waste time. Until the net international reserves by April of 2013, the NIR had dropped to $866 million, only 12 weeks of imports. But you see the generalship though. You see generalship. He said we had gone down to 12 weeks of imports. But he never tell you that it's during his time as Minister of Finance that the depletion of the reserves took place and it went down to 12 weeks.
And Mr. Shaw's counterattacks did not stop with Dr. Phillips. He addressed a claim made by PNP Member of Parliament for Northwest St. Anne, Dayton Campbell, that the abolishment of user fees in the public health sector by the former administration is the reason the health sector is in shambles.
So them lie, so them wicked. Because when we abolished user fees, we found the extra money to put into the healthcare system. It was increased.
And Mr. Shaw also added that there were three main promises made by the Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller when she was sworn in 4 years ago. And to date, he says, she has failed to deliver on them.
My God, Sister P promised 3 things when she was sworn in. She would reduce poverty, she would increase jobs, and she would improve your standard of living. Well, what happened now? I know me say so. The statistician says so. There are more poor people in Jamaica today than 4 years ago. So she failed on that one. What about jobs? We left an unemployment rate of 12.1%. It is now 13.1%. So they fail on the employment test too. And then now, the standard of living. Tell me something. Your standard of living gone up since PNP in power? You can buy what you bought 4 years ago with the same money today. And you know what I do?
Say, when I tell people every day, I say, I can't bring myself to ever say I go vote for a PNP. Not this present. Maybe one day when they renew themselves for all new members and everybody in the new no member, nothing about them people here, then maybe it's possible. But then by then time I go dead. By then time I go dead. And me sure all of my little people them are come as they right. Sure that me indoctrinate them already. Yes, my indoctrination process complete. But me can't like the party where push me back. And when I say push me back, me mean say when we look at in the 80s, Edward Phillips, George Siaga, never happened, Khadija, had the best manufacturing sector in the entire Caribbean. No country in the Caribbean had more manufacturing than Jamaica. Jamaica used to make everything out here. The only thing we don't make out here what we could make. The only thing we don't make at Jamaica what we could make. All of them name brand clothes where we run go by nowadays used to be made in Jamaica. All of them name brand clothes where I see the big brand them, the Versace, all of the, every one of them, they used to be made here. Stove, fridge used to be made here. Mattress, bed, everything where we can think of. I told them we said Jamaica we used to have one battery. Those old enough can remember one little blue battery named Berwick, Jamaican made. We used to have the Goodyear factory where we make tires and other things, brake shoe. Our manufacturing sector was second to none. That is what PNP destroy. And them do it with a smile and them come smile with you every day. Them smile with you every day. As me said, the man go up on the platform and say, we make money from FinSac, so what? We're not going to do about it. And PNP still run go vote for him. PNP still vote and put him in office, you know. The man stood on the platform and the debate stage and said, we make money from FinSac, so what? And remember, with all the evidence against these people, and them same one come here every day without one shred of evidence can tell you, oh, Andrew take away taxpayers' money. With all the evidence of them directing taxpayers' money in a them pocket. And them same one come every day can tell you where Andrew do. Wait, Khadija would have garment factory from in almost every parish would have a garment factory. Almost every parish had a garment factory. Edward Siaga, in his visionary state in 1985, started a thing now a Montego Bay named Digiport. And Digiport was started because them say sometime in the future companies are going to outsource some of them digital work, so we started it early. Jamaica had the most vibrant manufacturing sector in the entire Caribbean. And that PMP destroyed him. Where would we be today if we had a government that nurture our manufacturing sector? All they had to do was continue the work. Yes, you win the election, just continue the work. Even Manchester, yeah, Jackie factory in Manchester. Banana chips, we used to make that out here. We had the best manufacturing in the Caribbean. In 1989, when the PMP came in, we had a trade surplus with the Caribbean of $3 billion. Which means that they were spending $3 billion more with us than we were spending with them. You see, unless we understand the problem, we won't recognize the solution. PMP is the biggest problem Jamaica ever faced. People's National Party, that biggest problem we ever faced. But the great people have to leave on here now. After 10, I have an early appointment in the morning. I have to go get my eyes sorted out. The doctor said I need to get a good night's sleep before I come.